All right, MSP leaders, we are jumping into a scalable growth series that is focused on how MSPs attain long-term strategic growth over time. We're going to hit 4 areas: profitability, opportunities inside, education outside, and then dealing with scarcity in the long run. This video is all about profitability, so let's dig right in. Now, one thing that we know from the MSP community is profitability is all over the board. A lot of MSPs use pricing specifically as a competitive advantage, meaning they're going to lower their profit margin to gain new business. And this can work in the short term. You can have some success here. But if we do this over the long term, or we do it too many times, we really impact our ability to scale or grow because we're not able to hire the right people at the right time and at the same time pull profit from the company. If we just wanted to look at one metric to determine, is an MSP healthy? Are they charging the right amount for what they're doing? We're going to look at service department gross profit. And we know we're targeting 55% for a service department gross profit, which means for every $1,000 we bring in that service revenue category, we should be making $550 of margin. Another way to look at that is for every $1,000 in services that we bring in, we can only spend $450 to provide those or deliver those services in labor and tools. So if you're not hitting 55%, there's typically 2 key metrics that we want to start focusing on to determine where our problem is. First is agreement gross profit. And agreement gross profit is a simple calculation. If you're using ConnectWise Manage, it's a report that you can pull that will tell you how much margin you're making for each agreement. And like service department gross profit, which has a 55% target, agreement gross profit has a 65% target because we're only applying the actual labor leverage to deliver that service. And in terms of real dollars, for every $1,000 in agreements that we pull in, we expect to see $650 in margin, or the reverse of that. For every $1,000 in agreement revenue we bring in, we can spend $350 to deliver that agreement. And the most common reason for not hitting 65% margin is we're just applying too much time to an agreement. And it can be looked at 2 different ways. Either we're doing more than is expected for the agreement, or we're not charging enough for the agreement. And at the end of the day, it could be a mixture of both. You just have to determine that and start making some changes. Second metric, which will heavily influence service department gross profit, is service salaries compared to service revenue. In general, we're targeting roughly 1/3, and you can look at that as 33%, or you can look at that as a 3x multiplier. But at the end of the day, for every $100,000 in service revenue that we bring in, we want to spend roughly $33,000 on our service team. When we're talking about margin items like service department gross profit or agreement gross profit, we say there's a minimum threshold of a margin. So we want to be above 65% or 55%. In service salaries to service revenue, we are targeting 33% as the number. If we're below that, we're typically going to put stress on the team. If we're above that, we're typically paying too much for the service department compared to the revenue. It doesn't mean we don't need those people. And a nicer way to look at that is we have capacity. At the end of the day, we look at those 2 metrics. If we're hitting both those 2 metrics and we're hitting service department gross profit, we're in pretty good shape. If we're hitting agreement gross profit and service salaries and service revenue, but not hitting service department gross profit, we might be paying too much for internal tools. Just little things that we have to adjust over time. But at the end of the day, hitting 55% service department gross profit does so much for your business. It allows you to hire when you need someone and hire that right person at the right salary so you can continue to grow and, again, get that scalability over time. Now, if you want a little more information on this, we've created an infographic with a few different metrics, more than we just talked about today, that you can download here or will also be in the show notes. And stay tuned for our other 3 videos that'll be coming over the next week. I'm Jim Peterson, Principal Solution Advisor at ConnectWise, and I'm here to help, so hit me up. Thanks for watching.